This obviously isn't the very first time that I'm talking about Winter 2023. In my recent videos, I've been talking about a lot of winter anime that I've watched. I was genuinely surprised by the amount of content we've been getting in this past season. I don't know if I will be talking about other ones as well, but this anime is definitely worth talking about. This anime seemed to come out of nowhere, and because the expectations were low for everyone, no one seemed to expect much of the show. I'm talking about the magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius young lady. The magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius young lady, Jesus, that's a long name, is about two young female protagonists that are both born with royalty statuses. One of them is known for the crazy ideas, inventing the idea of magicology and creating new things in the world, such as a magic sword, without using incantations. Because of the scenes shown in the beginning, we know that Anis, the protagonist, was reincarnated into the world, but we aren't really given much details about it. And yes, that means this is still considered an isekai. Because of her ideas from the past world, she is able to help people own creative magic. Usually in royalty, they are born with the power of magic. Anis doesn't have this ability, and because of this, she is considered worthless by most people, and she purposely reclines her seat of the throne. The other protagonist is Yuffie. She had the opportunities of a normal royalty life, have a great husband, live in the castle, and be the princess that the people needed, or so it seemed. At the start of the anime, we see that Algard, the next line to the throne, betrays Yuffie. Algard simply tells everyone in the banquet hall that he himself believes Yuffie is a terrible person to be able to become the next queen, and decides to marry a different girl, and blames Yuffie for bullying the girl he likes. We know for a fact that Yuffie didn't do it, yet Algard proceeds to do so. Yuffie is then on the same path as Anis. She doesn't have a place to belong, and she struggles to find a new purpose in life after preparing her entire life to become the next queen. Doesn't this sound very familiar to you? I think people haven't noticed yet, but this is very similar to how the Rising of the Shield Hero started. Both are betrayed in a terrible way and are essentially treated as trash after they are blamed for something they didn't do. However, there is one difference that the Magical Revolution does better than Shield Hero. Why did Algard do such a thing in the first place? We know for a fact that he likes a different girl, but is that the only reason as to why he would do such a thing? It keeps a sense of mystery that we can't seem to understand. Of course, we begin to know his actions a little bit more as the series goes on, but we don't know that at first. We expect that this is a fairy tale that follows a very similar formula where a prince is supposed to follow the line of a throne, or an isekai with a bland, dark-haired protagonist, but it gives us the exact opposite. The prince just doesn't care about the throne. Our protagonists aren't necessarily the heroes that people see at first, and people seem not to care whether or not they can trust each other. There's something that's happening behind the scenes that we don't know, and it feels generally refreshing to see a concept like in a fantasy or isekai show. The prince also isn't necessarily wrong in his ways. When he gives his reasons as to why he's doing these things, both our main characters can understand his feelings. However, the application and his ways to do so and change just wasn't a good way to do so. Anis and Yuffie are characters on different levels. Anis's energy is by far one of the most chaotic characters we have seen in terms of personality. She just does whatever she wants to do, like slaying monsters and then using their heads as a hat, and then she proceeds to do this. Despite her chaotic energy, she has a surprising amount of depth to her character. She wants to help everyone in the world with magic, but the only way to do so is if she constantly makes objects to do so. A lot of the higher-ups aren't in favor of that, so this is why she still continues to be hated. She wants to create her own magic by herself and hopes to change the world by doing so. She has a strong sense of justice and stands as one of the only people to ever help Yuffie. She has a lot of dedication and strength, and this is what Yuffie wants later on in the series. Even towards the later half of the series, we begin to see a different side of Anis that is the exact opposite of what she had originally. And just like everyone else, she has a lot of worries, like a regular human being. Even if she can't use magic herself, that doesn't mean that she is a worthless princess. Yuffie, after getting booted out of her own domain, tries to find herself. Her father believes that she could choose her own path because she might not have wanted to become queen. But since she wanted to become queen, what was the point of her existence? What was the point of all that training that she had done since childhood? Who would she protect with her magic skills that were on par of being one of the best magic users in the world? She questions these things as she begins to live with Annis, and the character development was one of the best that I had seen in a while. Finding a place to be able to protect and also find a person to be able to look up to was all she had ever wanted, and she slowly finds out about Annis. She wants to learn more about Annis's magic, more of how she lives, and most importantly, how does her free will strive for purpose and becoming a better person despite people hating her for not having magic. This dynamic duo is very similar to the duo in Licorice Recoil. Two cute duos that seem to have been isolated by large corporations and been treated horribly by and strive to find more and more about how they can fit in again. However, a lot of people have been complaining about how this series is not exactly like Licorice Recoil and a dumbed down version of the show. However, this is supposed to be a separate anime series, not a duplicate of Licorice Recoil. The world building, the characters, the secrets. Everything in the show has its own separate point in the show that in some ways can be better than Licorice Recoil's setting. Even if there is a lot of similarities between the two, there are different ways and different points that allow both of these shows to shine in their own way. Looking at the studio behind the Magical Revolution, I was astonished at how unique their choices were. Turns out I didn't have to worry much. Usually behind isekais, there are a lot of shows that typically don't have either great stories or great animation. That's why we tend to talk about isekai as mostly trash, because they don't have one or neither of those things. While this doesn't go on the level of maybe Mushoku Tensei, the attention and care for its animation is really good. The fight scenes are unique and definitely feels fleshed out. The tiny bits of animation in the sword, the magic that is displayed in Yuffie's magic, the way monsters are cut, all of it is well made. Okay, I take that back, the show's not unique. While it doesn't exactly have the best animation, this already outstands other isekai, as it has one of the best animated shows this year already. Although, considering how stacked this year is with anime, it might not have this title for me later on in the year. One thing that is also concerning a lot of people is that a lot of the content has been skipped from the manga. I know there's been a lot of complaints about the development between the main characters, but from what we got, I think this is still a valid anime. There are good points in the show that were not even from the manga or light novel. Bad stuff that they might have skipped over that was necessary for the main characters, as well as the setting. But I think the studio overall still did a good job with adaptation. While there were a lot more talking scenes than actual fighting scenes, it was necessary for the main duo to have their own character development. One topic that I wanted to dive a little bit on is the representation of this show, which is the fact that it is Yuri. I didn't know that this was going to be in the show, and looking at how it blends in with the entire fantasy aspect, it fits well between the main two characters. We don't really see a lot of representation for Yuri or yaoi anime. Seeing a Yuri show for the first time in the isekai genre was well done, and it didn't overlap too much with the main story. Also, the Yuri part of this anime happens occasionally between episodes, but the only episode that it really does dive into the relationship between the two as Yuri is only the last episode. This is definitely a way to integrate more Yuri type characters into anime, and I definitely hope to see more of it. If you are not a Yuri fan, but are able to handle maybe a few shots of it, then you should be fine with this. This show is almost like eating ice cream after a hot day. It's a refreshing idea on the isekai genre, and with a lot of stale isekai coming out in recent time, especially this season, because Jesus Christ, that's a lot of isekai. I definitely feel like this is one of the best shows that we got this winter. We have comedy, fight scenes, and dance scenes, all with splendid animation. Its world building shows a lot of promise and definitely one of the best this season. Similar to what Shield Hero did, but is better in a lot of aspects. It has good representation in its characters, a compelling cast of characters that keep the world interesting, and most importantly, 2 new best girls that we can consider the best of this year already. Hey y'all, thank you all for watching the video. I know it's been a while, and I just uploaded a few videos at once. Again, these videos come out at very randomish times because I'm busy, I have a lot of things to do. This means that I most likely won't post again for a while until summer starts, and hopefully by then I can post a lot more. Just wanted to also note, I know that I was very focused on romance anime, but of course this isn't the only genre of anime I've seen. My favorite genre is romance, but I definitely will make videos on other types of anime. You'll be seeing a lot of different genres soon, and I hope you look forward to them. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next video.